My name is Himali Sodhi, and on behalf of Penguin Random House India, I am delighted to welcome you to a very special evening with renowned mythologist Dr. Devdutt Pattanaik. Dr. Pattanaik, as we all know, is the author of phenomenal bestsellers like Sita, Jaya, Book of Ram, and The Pregnant King, among others. He is also the host of the hit TV show Devlok with Devdutt Pattanaik, which has been turned into an immensely popular book of the same name. Most recently, the author of the best-selling Olympus, an Indian retelling of the Greek myths. Today, Dr. Pattanaik will speak on From Apollo to Dionysus, Vishnu to Shiva, mythological connections between Greece and India. I would like to give my heartfelt thanks to the Embassy of Greece for organizing the event. Special thanks to His Excellency, Mr. Panos Kalogeropoulos. My apologies if I've got this a bit wrong. Greece's ambassador to India, for his vast interest in the subject and his immense support to the event. Post the event, Devdutt will be happy to sign your copies of the book. I would like to now invite the ambassador to say a few words. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm overwhelmed. I think Mr. Pattanaik is also surprised that so many of you have shown up this afternoon. I think that, where is yeah, there you are. I think that the India International Center knows now what is the recipe for a full house. So, I don't know what the program says, but I'm not here to make any any presentation either of the author, who is a very well known figure, a public figure in India's cultural and not only life, and you are the proof of it. Neither on the subject itself. I'm far more ignorant than many of you to speak about it. I wish to extend a very warm welcome to all of you for being here tonight. The embassy appreciates the interest shown mainly to the author and to the book, but also to the subject. I would like to say here, by way of introduction, that of all the Western peoples that ever came to contact with India, the Greeks were the very first. Ever since, there has been a mutual intellectual interest and a spiritual attraction through the centuries. To many of you, I mean, you know mostly about Indians who have shown interest in the Greek cultural heritage, in philosophy, and in architecture. But I would like to suggest here that there is another figure, a Greek, who spent practically all his adult life in India. He died in Varanasi in 1833, an Indologist. His name is Dimitrios Galanos, and he wrote extensively on Sanskrit language, literature, beliefs, etc. So this interest has all over this vast period of time been very, very much present. Today is the World Poetry Day, declared by UNESCO. So I think it is only natural for us all to dwell on the issue of myths. The myths encapsulate poetry, leaving temporarily aside the domination of reason. Myths are the result of intense observation of life and human behavior, expressed outside the time and often outside place. Since antiquity, the Greek myths have entered the collective intellectual and cultural heritage of the West. They've become part and parcel of the informed and educated European person's group of notions. Expressions like Pandora's box, Herculean tusk, Trojan horse, Ariadne's thread have become, over the centuries, household names, at least in Europe. And this, if we want to go further than the myths, applies certainly to expressions that refer to historic figures and facts documented in history, like cutting the Gordian knot, sitting under Damocles' sword, win a Pyrrhic victory, and so on and so forth. So this book, which is not the subject of today's lecture, I must underline, is about more than filling a gap, perhaps a gap in the Indian context, in the Indian public. It also broadens our horizons as Greeks and Europeans on similarities and differences with the rich world of Indian mythology. And I would like to ask the lady from, where is she? From Penguin. Penguin is an international publishing house. It would be very much interesting to have that book translated into Greek in order for my connationals to be able to savor the wealth of Indian mythology and Indian imagination. And this brings me to a wider perspective, that of the continuing relevance of ancient civilizations in today's world. We are all in a country of an ancient, venerable civilization, and all the more so, I need to say that India, in relation to Greece or to other countries that can boast of such rich cultural heritage, has not, I underline, has not changed this religious, cultural, societal universe through the introduction of a new religion, as it was the case, for instance, in Greece of Christianity, or in Egypt of Islam and other places. The same pantheon is venerated in India as thousands of years before. That makes your case really unique among ancient civilizations. In this case, a living civilization. So we, as custodians, the modern heirs of these ancient civilizations, have a special responsibility to make the most of their legacy by promoting the achievements of the past as a living investment in the present and future of humankind. In the era of globalization and high technology, various ways can be found to bring younger generations closer to ancient civilizations and their legacies. And looking the numbers of young people here tonight, one feels heartened in these remarks. Let's not forget, who is knowledgeable of his past can better grasp the challenges of the past and prepare for what the future has in store. Now, I would like, before I finish, to, on a lighter note, speak not about Devdutt Pattanaik, but how I got to know him, how I met him. A friend gave me that book as a present. It was I think in early December, and I wanted to meet the author. So we inquired, the embassy inquired, and found that Mr. Pattanaik lives in Mumbai. So on the first occasion of a business trip to Mumbai, I made a point of meeting him, which did happen, and it was the beginning of, I hope, of a long and fruitful friendly relationship. So he's too well known for a foreigner in India, for a foreigner to present him to an Indian public. But before I conclude, on behalf of the Embassy of Greece, we would also like to thank India International Center, the Indo-Hellenic Friendship League, and the Penguin India for their kind support for this event. Now, the success depends on our author. Thank you.
Good evening. While this is really flattering, but I think some people can come here if it is allowed. Yeah, just for 2 minutes, and I think we need the